YouTube, it's been 2 weeks. I haven't uploaded crap. I'm not doing very good, I guess, at this whole YouTube thing. I'm gonna keep uploading. I'm gonna upload more. I just had a car going on, customer car, 330 Ci, oil pump nut fell off. Yeah, I had to replace the engine on it. So that's what I've been doing the past 2 weeks. I've made it nowhere on my red car. I've just got it back in the garage. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on it. But before I start on the fuel system today, I'm not gonna do a lot of it, but at least I'll get a video out. I was wondering what you guys thought about possibly me building one of these B30s and epoxying a head gasket on, like NASA epoxy, and possibly doing rods and seeing if I can make like 600, 700 horsepower on it and it holds. Gap stock rings, it's kind of something I've wanted to try. Another thing I might be doing is I might be buying another E46 and doing a bottom mount setup and just making a whole series on it if people are interested. So only way I do any of this is if I can gain interest. So today I'm going to go ahead and start on this fuel system. Like I said, probably won't be a lot of progress, but it'll be a video. So we left off with this bulk fitting here, and that was it. So since then I have added this wiring. There's also another through the wall fitting or bulk fitting, and all I used was this 1/16 hole saw bit, which worked out perfect. Like, nailed it. It barely fit in there. I had to cut out the connector and Dremel everything smooth. And then I got this Vibrant fitting here. It's a tight 90. The only issue is I don't think it's gonna fit still in the car, so I might have to get the angle grinder out, who knows. And then I have the Rally Road sleeve in there that fits in the factory sleeve that'll hold an aftermarket pump. Everything looks real good, fits real nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this here. I'm pretty sure it's gonna cause some issues. It's gonna be dark in here. So, yeah, it's gonna be tall. This will push down a little bit more once I put the retainer on. But as you can see, it's a little tall. I just need it to face probably that way. Once I put a hose on there, it might clear. But you can kind of see how this is high right here. I might be able to, bend this up some. This isn't a show car, so I don't really care to do that. And then this is the harness here. I have to pin the plug yet. Got rid of the factory plug, not using any of that. Maybe the 2 wires for the fuel level sensor, but I'm not worried about that yet. So I may have to maybe cut, or, well, I don't really want to cut this. Maybe bend an area here, hammer an area here where it's high so it'll clear this. Worst case, I have to cut it and I'll put the seat on, but the seat's so thick that, I mean, it shouldn't damage any of this. But I'd like to keep this all closed out from the inside of the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on that and see what I can come up with. All right, so hopefully I don't get canceled for this, but I just lowered the fuel tank just a little bit with some spacers on the strap mounts, and I have enough clearance. It didn't take a lot. I know I just totally ruined months worth of BMW German engineering. So all I did was put a washer spacer underneath this bolt here, and then spacer here to drop it. So hopefully this works well. I can't see it really causing any issues. It's still flat with the car. It's not gonna nail something. So hopefully this will work. And then I pulled out the old fuel line, the old feed line, and there's an area in here. Kind of see there's plenty of room in there to run my -10 line up through there and then come out where the stock one comes out from. So hopefully this works. Cover fits good. And then I'll put the grommet back on the little plug here and run my new harness through it. It should work out pretty good. Now I gotta make the actual dash 10 fuel line, put the fittings on it, cut it to size. And here's the first piece of fuel line I removed coming from the tank. As you can see, it's tiny compared to dash 10, which is a little bigger. So it's gonna be awesome. I'm sure you guys have dealt with AN fittings before, but every time I do it, I have to try to remember what I'm doing, because Teflon fittings and the rubber stainless braided hose is actually different. The fittings are. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and start running some line. On AN fittings, you've probably done this before, but maybe some of you haven't. You're gonna wanna, the reason you wrap them in the painter's tape is so when you cut them, your braided wire or the coating doesn't go crazy. It helps contain it a little bit. You're gonna have this here. You're gonna put it on first. Then you're gonna have your ferrule here on Teflon. You'll have one of these. And you'll put it on here and you'll use this tool. You'll use this tool here to press it all the way on until it bottoms out on that inside lip. And then once you do that, you go ahead and push this in there and you screw your nut onto your fitting, and it's going to basically press this into the Teflon and make a really high pressure seal.
Before I remove all this, I figured I'd show you guys the setup I had currently. I was running about 25 PSI on it. This is an M3 setup, OEM M3 filter, going to a dash 8. I just had a dash 8 here. It wasn't necessary. Neither is my new setup, but the fuel pressure regulator on the M3s are a 5-bar, I think. So this allowed me to get more life out of my injectors, or more duty cycle, not life. And then this is a cool push lock fitting to AN that pops right onto the factory fitting, so you don't have to use any hose clamps here. So that's pretty nice, but I'm gonna get rid of all that now. Currently tearing all this down and working on running the new line.
This is how I'm mounting the fuel filter, because the body of the car, if you were gonna use a self-tapper or even tap it and do a stud or anything like that, it's too thin. It is way too thin. I don't trust it. This should do fine. I've seen some setups like this on different model cars, not necessarily an E46, but this actually clears perfectly and fits in there perfectly. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points where this mounts to the car. It's not like this is gonna fall off. So this is how I'm gonna do this. I know some people might not like it, but I think it's gonna work fine. So I'm coming down here along the gas tank.
I have those nice little AN hose clamps that hold 2 of them beside each other. I'll be installing those once I get my return next to this one. And then here we are. That's where the fuel filter is gonna sit. It is solid. I'm not worried about it going anywhere. And then the only other issue I'm gonna run into is I'm not sure where I'm gonna run my return line here, because I took up most of the space with the fuel filters. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But next I gotta run from the outlet of the filter to the fuel pressure regulator up there.
All right, I threw the PPF manifold on real quick just for testing purposes. Something I didn't show you guys last time on the last video is I got a fuel pressure sensor for my rail. It goes dead center of the rail, which is pretty nice. It was an absolute nightmare because Nuke thought it'd be cool to use British National Pipe thread, and that took me forever to figure out what the thread was, and it's a Boss fitting, and finding that to adapt down to like 1/8 inch NPT was awful. It took me a while, but it's gonna be nice having that in the middle of the rail. So I put this on because I need to figure out where I'm gonna put my fuel pressure regulator. A lot of people put them right here, which I'll probably end up doing because it's easy to get to, easy to access. I can put a 90 right here with my fuel coming in. And then I can have, I'm gonna have to have my Y somewhere because I'm gonna be feeding the back of the rail and the front of the rail with -6 with these banjo fittings. So I'm gonna have to, I have plenty of room under the manifold. It's gonna just take a while to make all these lines. That'll be next video. I don't know if I want this here or not because it's only one stud, but it should be, it'll probably be good once the hose and fittings hooked up. It probably won't move around too much. And then I'll have a fitting coming straight off the bottom, and that'll be the return line all the way to the back of the car. Let's end this video with an F in the chat for this poor B30 that decided that it didn't want oil pressure anymore, and it did a rod bearing delete. So F in the chat for this. I'm going to be ending the video here. Subscribe. Let's get to 1,000.